Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top, or crack open that can. And welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation. No topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome back to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. I don't know how everybody else's week has been, but my last week was crazy. And I know I've said that a time or two, but yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I'm really having to fight burnout at work a lot. This Thanksgiving break couldn't be coming at a better time. Luckily, we are off Thursday and Friday, so I've got 4 days. I really need a break. I'm burnt. Hopefully, I'll be able to get my batteries and everything recharged, at least enough to be able to get through to Christmas anyway. We've been working a lot. I've been working a lot, and I can even tell by my guys that, you know, they're burnt too. Rain's starting to set in back here on the back porch. I'm really hoping everybody is looking forward to next week. In case you're living under a rock or in denial, next week is Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving? I know it's the day that we all try to get together. We have turkey. For some of us, it's one of only 2 times a year that we eat chicken and dressing. In the South, that's what we call it. I know some of you in other places of the country call it stuffing. Here in Dilworth, Alabama, it is called chicken and dressing. Just in case, I just want to give a Cliff Notes story of what it is that we're fixing to celebrate. In September 1620, people looking for a new place to call home where they could either worship God as they saw fit or just own land and try to prosper in a new world left Plymouth, England on the Mayflower. 66 days and one dadgum rough trip later, they dropped anchor around Cape Cod. A month later, they crossed the Massachusetts Bay and tried to start a village at Plymouth. That first winter was rough. Half the Mayflower's original passengers didn't live to see the spring. In March, the pilgrims that were still alive were visited by a native who happened to speak English. A few days later, he returned with another native by the name of Squanto, who taught the pilgrims how to grow corn, get sap out of maple trees, and how to fish in the rivers and avoid poisonous plants. Squanto also helped the settlers become friends with the Wampanoag. I probably butchered that. If I did, I'm sorry. And that relationship lasted over 50 years. November 1621, the Pilgrims invited their friends over for a 3-day celebration of their first crop. Pilgrim chronicler Edward Winslow wrote, and I quote, "Our harvest being gotten in, our governor sent 4 men on fowling, so we might after a special manner rejoice together. After we had gathered the fruits of our labors, they 4 in one day killed as much fowl as with a little help beside, served the company almost a week, at which amongst other recreations, we exercised our arms, many of the Indians coming amongst us, and amongst the rest of their greatest king, Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom 3 days we entertained and feasted. And they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed on our governor, and upon the captain and others. And although it be not always so plentiful, as it was at this time with us, yet by the goodness of God, we are so far from want, that we often wish you partakers of our plenty." What can we learn from the story of Thanksgiving? Well, let's just break it down. A group left England so that they could either worship as they saw fit or just try to make more of themselves and be more of themselves with land and have some prosperity over in this new world. They were willing to risk their life for what they believed in. They came over. Some of them died trying to see their dream through. The ones that actually made it, to start with, they didn't have a clue as to how they were going to do it. But luckily for them, there were people that came along to help guide their way so they could make their dream a reality. Just a few things that I just want to point out to you. Number one, it's okay to ask for help. A lot of us are so full of pride and got such an ego to us that we don't want to ask for anybody to help. We don't want to be a burden to anybody. We don't want to ask for help. And I'm shooting from the hip, if you can't tell. I'm one of those. I don't like asking people for help. I don't like being a burden. I don't like feeling like a burden. But there's a lot of stuff in this world that I don't know how to do. And that's tough to admit. It's okay to ask for help. Because guess what? We're going to need a lot of help through this life. We can't get through it on our own. Number two, you can always learn a new trick. Those pilgrims didn't know how to farm the land. They didn't know how to fish the rivers. They had to learn a new trick in order to survive. We as people cannot always get stuck in our ways. We've got to learn how to do different things in order to survive. Number three, everyone can sit together at the table. Don't matter what religion, what race, what creed. We can all unite as one at the table. Just think about that one. The last one I'm going to leave you with. Be thankful for what you have and who you have in your life right now. There's going to be several people that are listening to this that have went through a lot of changes this year. Lost loved ones. Different jobs. Not making as much money as you was. You know, different things come about throughout the course of the year. Not everything's going to be the same. This year, for example, for me, I'm used to having Thanksgiving dinner at my grandma's house. She's gone. She's not going to be here. And now I've got to do it a different way this year. Be thankful for what you have whenever Thursday rolls around. Look around at your table. If you've got petty differences between different people in your family, even if your ego tells you that it's not your fault, be the bigger person and walk over there to them and try to make amends. Show them that you love them, because you never know if this is going to be the last time you get to spend a holiday with them or not. Just food for thought. Keep that in your head. On this episode, I am pleased to welcome back Robert Dominguez from Bigfoot Club. The last time we had him on the show, we didn't do much but scratch the surface on Robert. We go a little bit all over the place. We continue our conversation a little bit about cryptids, but then we get into other things that Robert is very much enthusiastic about. So I really hope you enjoy the episode. I hope you think about what I just said, and hopefully you get something out of it. Without further ado, let's get started. Robert Dominguez, Bigfoot Club. Welcome back, my friend. Glad to have you here.
Man, I am happy to be back on the porch.
Well, the porch is better off with you here. How you been?
Man, I've been good. I've had some really good news, man, lately. So, I've entered the last phase of my physical therapy, which is outpatient clinic. So I think I'm going to probably be released by my doctor in about 3 weeks. and I had a CT scan yesterday, and it was clear of cancer. So I'm pretty dang happy.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going good. It's going good. So I am pretty happy with that. So I mean, I can't say enough good things about the good people and good prayers and hard work. So I'm pretty happy.
I'm glad to hear that. Just remember, said you'll be running inside of 6 months.
You sure did.
I'm standing by that.
You sure did. So I am pretty happy though, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to be back on the porch. I haven't done a podcast myself, so you're probably the only work I've been doing. So I'm trying to get ready to get back on. So this is a good test to come back. So,
well, good, because in the first episode we had so much material to go over. We couldn't just do it in one episode. There's a whole lot more to you than just one episode.
Yes.
So I'm figuring there's 2, possibly 3 episodes with me and you. What do you think?
Hey man, I have the gift of the gab. I don't mind talking to anybody that's interested in hearing me, especially talking about Bigfoot Club podcast. So
same here. So on the last episode, we talked a little bit about your origins, how you got into it.
Mm-hmm.
You shared with us a few of your stories. What other cryptids other than Bigfoot are you interested in and or investigating?
To be honest with you, I don't get a lot of other cryptids reported to me, but I am interested in lots of other cryptids. I'm interested in the werewolf and what they call dogmen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had anybody come up to me and tell me they've seen a dogman or werewolf, but I still follow stories. I listen to Vic Cundiff. He does like a dogman werewolf type of podcast. So I listen to his show, and I listen to some other shows, but I also follow Linda Godfrey. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Linda Godfrey's work. She's an author and she's a researcher. She does a lot of stuff on other cryptids but mostly dogmen and werewolves. So I'm not sure if you know about her.
I know just enough to get through this conversation, but if you would,
yeah,
for those of the listeners that are listening or that are saying, "What's a dog man?" Would you kindly explain to them what the dog man is?
I'm probably going to butcher, and I know there's going to be some people who listen to Dogman and say you're not doing it right, but there's probably there's different categories. There's different categories on how they're walking or how their posture is or like the shape of their heads and stuff. So it's and they other people can go into better detail than I could, but Linda Godfrey is probably like one of the authority people who talks about werewolves and dogmen. And so she's got a couple of books I know I've read. I think American Monsters. That's a pretty good one. She's known for the Beast of Bray Road. And I think another one is Monsters Among Us, I think. Yeah, Monsters Among Us. And I haven't read it any further than that because it's a lot of reading on all those stuff. But there's tons of like other cryptids like humanoids. Believe it or not, bat squatch. There's actually people who've seen a Bigfoot with wings. I've never come across that at all. So
this is a first for me. I have never heard of this one.
Yeah, whenever I was reading her books, I go, "What?" I had to do a double take on the page. I said, "What? Okay, let me read this." So, but it's pretty interesting stuff. But I've always been interested in werewolves and dogmen, but I've read tons and tons of eyewitness reports and sightings and stuff like that. And I've come to the conclusion that I feel that these are like spiritual entities that protect Native American lands. That's just my take on it. And I think people see these animals as like a residual animal who just pops up and usually protects like Native American areas, like sacred, whether their burial grounds or their food sources or something like that. So it's my interpretation that people see these animals and these creatures, but nothing ever comes of it. And I've never heard of a physical attack by a dogman or a werewolf. So I think a lot of it, I think people misidentify these creatures and they probably see a Bigfoot, but they just misidentify it. So That's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's similar as far as the Native American stuff goes to a
Mhm.
Wendigo,
Yes,
correct?
absolutely. Yeah.
I had a friend on, I think it was episode 5,
Mhm.
where he was actually talking about he thinks that he encountered a Wendigo just about an hour north of me in
Wow.
Bankhead National Forest. If you hadn't listened to that one, check it out for
I
real.
will go back and check it. I'm going to check it out now. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I love stories about that cryptid as well. The Wendigo. It's like, oh, it's always fascinated me, but I've yet to run across anybody who's told me stories about it. So and if someone were to contact me off this podcast because of this, I'm grateful for it. So just the opportunity. So
all right. Yeah. Any other ones that you've been following?
if anybody who knows me pretty well, that I am infatuated with Ingrid Cole. I don't know if you know that story with Ingrid Cole.
Tell me.
Have you heard of the Mothman? The Mothman
Yes, I
prophecies.
have.
Okay, Ingrid Cole was sighted like days before the Mothman in West Point, West Virginia, in 1967. Is it 66 or 67? But he was spotted like in like close to town before all these sightings took place, and no one knows what he is. And I think this was right before the term what's the name Men in Black came around, and so no one knows what he is, whether he's like an entity, or he's like a dimension traveler, or he's like an alien. He's mentioned in 3 books. He's mentioned in the Mothman prophecies. He's also mentioned in, I have the list right here. Visitors, which I actually bought and read that one. It's written by Woodrow Derenberger, and he's also mentioned in the Complete Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts, written by Alan Greenfield, and I've read that one too. And he's mentioned, I think before, like, the internet, and before all that stuff was like popular, and so he's mentioned like in all these books about, people meet with him, and he seems like mysterious, like he's like really pale. And they also call him the smiling man. I don't know why, because he smiles a lot, and he's really thin, and he's wearing like silver clothes before anybody would actually wear silver clothes, like shiny material stuff.
Yeah.
And so that has always like intrigued me, and I've always like anything I can get my hands on that has anything like to do with him, I always like pick it up and just read it. And I'm just because I have an episode, I forgot the episode, but we have one episode that's just like dedicated to him, and we just talk about it. And my mom is like a really big fan of our episodes, but that's the only episode she refuses to listen to, because like she sees like the pictures of him. There's people who've drawn pictures of him that they think they know how he looks. Right. And I posted like on Facebook, and like, this is the episode, Ingrid Cole, and she saw it. She goes, I'm not listening to that one. So I go, okay. I go, Mom, he hasn't harmed anybody. He's fine. No, I'm not going to look at it. He looks spooky. I'm not going to do it. So
that makes me want to listen to it. I'm going to dig into your archives and find it for myself.
So, but it's really good. It's a really good subject. I'm probably going to go back and like revisit it, and probably do like some book reviews and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things that I've always been interested in, because like, I always want to know, what is he? If he's a time traveler, is he an alien? Because he's talked about in these books, and it's like really mysterious, and no one knows who he is. And there's people who have eyewitness reports of something similar to like his type or his description, but no one knows who he is or where he comes from. So, but anyway, that's one of like another thing that I'm really interested in. So
let's just keep it right on going. I know that you're a big wrestling fan as well.
Yes. I'm actually I have it in the background. You can't see it, but I'm watching Survivor Series right now. So
I forgot Survivor Series was tonight.
Yeah. Turning Point was last night. I watched that last night with Impact. I watched that. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I watch wrestling way too much, probably more than Bigfoot and paranormal stuff because I watch, I watched all the WWE stuff. I watch NXT, I watch AEW, all the AEW stuff either on YouTube or, on TNT. And then I watch the Impact stuff. And if I have time, then I watch like AAA Mexican wrestling and I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I watch that religiously. And it's like one of those things that I do a lot of memes for the Bigfoot Club Facebook page. And a lot of it rotates around wrestling. So,
I've seen that.
So I'm just a nerd that way. And like, I can just tell you right now, I'm a huge fan of AEW. I love AEW. I don't know how you feel about AEW, but I love AEW because I really love their storytelling because they do a story and no matter how long it takes to like to tell the story, they just do it. And WWE, they're like, the NFL of wrestling. And so they give up on stories constantly. If someone's not being pushed properly or their merch sales are not going where they want to go, then they just kill the story. And I hate that. And so I'm assuming that you're a big wrestling fan too.
Oh yes. I'm a big wrestling fan. Yeah. I don't watch it near as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of an old school fan.
Yeah.
Than some of the newer stuff. The WWE lately really, let's just be blunt, it really pisses me off.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time, some of the stuff that goes on with AEW, I like some of it. I love the fact that Punk has finally come back. I love the fact that, Danielson seems to be looking like the Danielson of old.
Right.
I think there's several stars and everything on the show that has potential. I'm not a Young Bucks fan and I'm not an Omega fan. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah. That's understandable. I just
that style, the Bucks especially, that the way they carry themselves and they kind of make a mockery of everything and takes 56 super kicks and monster drivers and all that good stuff, and then they do a little roll up there at the end. That's not my style.
Yeah. I think, and speaking of that, I've always thought the Bucks were top. They're very, even when they were like an Impact and there are TNA back in the day, and I followed them when they were in like Ring of Honor, anything they did in New Japan. I've always thought they were really, really good. I think what they're doing now and how probably they're making you angry about that. They're doing their job. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So
they are.
But Kenny Omega, I think there was a point in time where I thought he was the best wrestler in the world because he can talk on the mic, he can wrestle with anybody that makes it look like he's never worked with before. Because there's wrestling matches you see. And you can kind of tell, okay, these guys haven't worked together before, but he can work with anybody. He's very athletic and he sticks with stories. So, I mean, I like him. Is he the best wrestler right now? Probably not, but there was a point in time where he was.
I would say he's top 5.
Yeah.
Again, not a fan, but I'll give credit where credit's due. If he's in there with the right person, I thoroughly enjoyed the matches that he had with Okada.
Yes. Oh my God.
Okada is amazing. Tanahashi's another one that's amazing.
Yes.
How can you get in the ring with those two and not have a match of the year quality match? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought the match that he had was Jericho in New Japan was interesting.
Yeah.
I watched it. I just think that he's had issues translating from Japan here because it's totally different.
Yeah.
The one thing about AEW that I don't like is that they flat out came out and said that they were basically going to just try and keep their core fans happy instead of trying to branch out and bring in casual fans.
Yeah.
And their numbers prove that because they fluctuate so much.
Yeah, they have. I think,
and that's one thing that bugs me about the wrestling business as a whole, because I grew up as a kid of the 80s watching Hulk and Andre and Flair and the Horseman and Dusty, on into the Attitude Era with Stone Cold. And people want to revise history now, talk about how The Rock was bigger than Austin. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you went to the arenas whenever you were younger. Austin's pops were bigger than the Road Warrior pops at the time.
Yes, I think that was that era. It's like it was perfect timing, because like back then I can't think of it right now, but it's like TV monitoring into the ratings, they didn't really care. And so it was a really good time to be a wrestling fan, and to have the Monday Night Wars, WCW versus WWE. And it's just one of those things, like it was just a perfect storm. Yes. And you're right. I mean, you're right. I think Stone Cold, in my mind, will go down as the most important wrestler of his era. I mean, if WCW would have kept him on the payroll, they would have won. They would have won. And I know they don't want to. I think Eric Bischoff refuses to talk about that, but if he just would have kept him, they would have won, and that would have been the bottom line. We'd be talking about WCW stuff and not WWE stuff.
It's true, but there again, if he would have stayed there, he would have been relegated to the mid card.
Yeah, you're right.
He would have never came up with that gimmick, and it would have never caught fire the way it did.
The Hollywood Blondes.
That was actually a fantastic tag team.
I loved it too.
Yes.
So it was so good. I go, man, it was. Oh, but I think the like we were talking about AEW. I mean, I love everything AEW. The one thing I do not agree with, because I love their storytelling. I love like the Dark Order, whatever they're doing. I love everything behind the scenes that they're doing. But there's one thing I'm a big fan of not kicking out of someone's finisher.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
It just drives me insane. I said, come on, man, you can't do that. And it's, I don't know. I actually have a wrestling podcast, and I failed to mention that on the first time I came on the show. I actually have it's called a Wrestling News Source. And so I haven't done one in a while, but I was doing it with my buddy, Earl Kennedy. And he's like a big wrestling fan, probably more than I am. And but we just talk about wrestling. We don't have a lot of listeners, but I don't really care. I love talking about wrestling. So
well, anytime you want me on the show, I'll be happy.
Hey, I will take you up on it. I will. Don't say that, because I will call you.
I'm saying it. I love talking wrestling. I've got a friend. His name's Justin Hatch. He's come on the show a time or two. I used to work with him at the jail. Met another friend of mine, Garrett Anderson. If you're listening, Garrett, hi, and I'm still mad at you for standing me up.
Hey, Garrett.
But whenever we were at the jail, whenever we got all of our stuff done, we'd sit around and talk wrestling for hours.
Wow.
I mean, that's I've always talked wrestling. I've always watched wrestling, and I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm almost 40 years old now, so I'm almost aging out of the demo. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're right. I just turned this year I'm 50, so I feel double that. So but to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of people to talk wrestling with. So Earl's the only guy I talked wrestling, and there's a gentleman, I won't say his name because he doesn't want to be mentioned. He's on one of the podcasts, and he's a big wrestling fan as well. And we talk. If I talk to anybody, it's those two guys, and we text each other constantly. Like whenever Dynamite comes on, he's texting me, "It's Wednesday. You know what time that is?" So we constantly do that, and we talk about who moves the needle, who's over, who's buried, stuff like that. I go, come on, man. But I have a blast just talking about it, but not anything. I think I have a better chance of talking Bigfoot with people than I actually do about wrestling. So it's kind of sad, but
let's jump into it. Let's talk a little bit about WWE right now. Why are they releasing everybody?
I think it's my understanding that they're probably, trying to catch up on all the non-live events that they were doing. And they have like I guess TV is like pulling back on them a little bit or something. And so they're trying to make a profit, because I don't think they've made a profit in the last 2 years.
Nobody's made a profit the last 2 years. I don't think.
So, I mean, that's the only thing that they were pushing for a while. They've recently like let go. They let go John Morrison, Hit Row. I think I can't think who else. There's some small mid card people on NXT that they let go, and I don't. To me, it's like I'm a big fan of like someone showing up on AEW or like Impact, like, because I think Bronson. He's going by Bronson Reed on NXT. He showed up on Impact last night.
He did,
and so I was pretty excited about that. So I don't know. I mean, I read a lot of articles and I just make snap judgments on stuff like that, because that's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe they're trying to gain a profit, and because they just switched NXT, because like Triple H and Shawn Michaels were running NXT. And this past year, it was great. I loved it.
I loved NXT. It was my favorite.
I thought it was a better product. I thought it was a better product than like SmackDown and Raw. And
because
like
it was.
and they just like junked it now. So I mean, there's a few guys on there like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Dexter Lumis, that I'm watching still just for that. And I go, but everything else, they just, I don't know who these people are. And I go, why are you pushing these dudes? I mean, but that's how I feel about it. But
Braun Breaker will be money if they don't mess him up.
Yes.
I'm not going to say he's going to be money in WWE, but Braun Breaker will be money. As soon as he can drop the Braun Breaker crap and go by the last name Steiner like he should. Because that is Rick Steiner's son.
Beautiful.
The dog face gremlin.
Yeah,
that's his boy, and you can see it all over him once you figure it out. Why
would you do that? Why would you mess it up and rename him? I don't understand.
So they can own the name. I know, scratch your head, but that's that world. They own if they can own the trademark of the name, they can own the rights to the name. That means they can do merchandise. That means they can do all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can pump their money into, quote, their product. I mean, like AJ Styles right now. I honestly don't understand how in the heck he didn't get renamed. I'm sure there was a fight backstage from renaming him. But at the same time, common sense will tell you, look at how many years he spent at TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, built a following. Everybody knew who he was. His name's tattooed on his side. Or at least his initials are anyway.
Yeah.
But knowing their train or their mindset and everything, they would have probably came up with something completely different. But at the same time, whenever he leaves, he takes the name with him.
Yeah.
That's a loss of money for them. You got to look at it on the business side as well. As much as it doesn't make sense, they're all about the bottom dollar. And I think the whole budget cuts and everything is due to the fact that they kept out all these people on, signed them to contract extensions and everything else as a defense mechanism because they didn't know what AEW was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They're like backpedaling now. So
now that they've seen what AEW is, they're trying to cut weight. They're trying to get their money, get their profit shares up because they've got a board that they've got to answer to. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what's going to happen on it. But I mean, AEW might be winning in their little demo, but overall, the ratings and everything are still in WWE's favor right now. I don't know why, but they are. I guess because they're the more recognizable brand. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you're right. You made a lot of good points on that, and you're totally right. I mean, it's nice to have like options. That's just the way I look at it. I love the options, and AEW. I get excited about storytelling, and that's the whole reason why I watch wrestling, storytelling, and WWE just doesn't seem to do a good job on that. And AEW does.
WWE reminds me more of WCW in like 98, 99, 2000, where they're constantly rewriting and constantly rewriting. There's stories about WCW about how they literally scratched their whole show while everybody was still live and nobody knew what in the heck was going on for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, because I think that their formula was you got to be big, you got to be strong, you got to have you have to be able to be good on the mic, and that was just kind of sad because there was tons of talent on WCW that this Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, and they just didn't get what they deserved, and so I think. I don't know if WWE. I think they're too big to maybe go that route and maybe lose. But if for them to lose 10% of their audience, that's still big,
it is
by their standards. So
it is.
I don't know.
They've also not had to share the market in over 20 years either.
Yeah,
let's face facts.
I know because I know Impact TNA's been around, but really they haven't really touched them at all. And.
There's a discussion right there. There really is.
Yeah.
TNA was, I think their average number was like 1.2 or 1.3 million households or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually in a couple of wrestling groups and everything in Facebook for a little while. And I bring up the fact that today's wrestling, WWE, AEW, might as well throw ROH and Impact in there as well. Now, they can't get the numbers that TNA got just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's scary. As a wrestling fan, that's scary. What do you think about that?
The internet doesn't help that, those numbers out because everybody can go to, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. They can go to MLW. They can go to, any kind of small time group and just take the numbers away. So you're right. I think AEW and Impact, they have to work triple hard just to keep the fan base interested and engaged. So, I think you're right. It's just one of those things but to me, having this much wrestling, it's great to be a fan.
Agreed.
To me, it is. It's great to be a fan. So I love it. I love all the different little stories of people coming over from from AEW or the Impact or New Japan, and I just
Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Because I'm also big into comics, and so I love crossovers. So I consider this a crossover when someone goes from Impact to AEW, and they just keep rotating, and I love it. I think it's one of those things that keeps me engaged, keeps me interested, in the product. And I just love it. Cause right now I'm watching wrestling every night now. Every night I watch the Dark Elevation. I watch Raw. I watch the AEW Dark, the NXT. I watch Dynamite. I watch Impact. I watch Rampage. I watch SmackDown. And like I said before, and when I have time, I'll watch AAA and CMLL and stuff. I watch all that stuff too as well. So
you do it. I've never sat down and actually watched the AAA or a CMLL show.
It's good. It's actually really, really fast paced. You get to see. I don't know if you actually or anybody in your listening group actually watch Lucha Underground. Did you ever watch Lucha Underground?
I watched a little bit of it. I appreciated what they were trying to do.
Yeah, that was that was the SmackDown version of AAA. AAA was AAA show that they had on the Spanish networks was Raw, and Lucha Underground was the SmackDown version of it. And so I got to see some of those guys for the first time, and then they're still wrestling in AAA and CMLL, and so it's a little bit fast paced. There's no tagging in, tagging out. It's just it's like tornado rules. They just go, and I like that, and I like it. It's less storytelling, but still to me, it's entertaining to me. So,
all right. Since you watch all of these different promotions and everything. Let's go one by one.
Okay.
We're going to start with AEW. Who do you see right now as their biggest stars and or future prospects? If you were Tony Khan right now, what would you do differently?
I would probably, I love the fact that it's taken them, almost 2 years to do this Hangman Adam Page story. And it was kind of tragic how Brody Lee died, and he's kind of stepped in with the Dark Order, and the Dark Order was considered like a heel group, but they were so over on being the elite YouTube page, they have to be baby faces. And so to hook those two together, I'd keep them together because they're money, they're gold. The biggest prospect I could see coming is what's his name, Dante, the guy with Top Flight. He's with Lilo Rush right now. I think he's probably one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen wrestling wise.
Do you think I know Team Taz threw out the invitation. Do you think he'll join?
Yes. And I think Ricky Starks is probably one of the biggest stars. He could be up there with like MJF if they just give him more mic time. They give him more mic time, because I've seen some of his stuff like on YouTube, the stuff he's doing now. It's so good. I mean, it's this guy. I kind of equate him to like Britt Baker. DMD is so over right now. She's doing a great job of being a heel dentist. And I think I equate it to like,
she ain't a heel, brother. She ain't a heel.
I know, but like she does it so well, and she does it so well, and it's like one of those things that she moves the needle.
Yes.
There's some people who don't move the needle, and she moves the needle. So Ricky Starks is like a female version of DMD. If you give him the right opportunity, the right platform. So that's just my take on AEW. So
I think Ricky's going to be a slow build.
Yeah.
I think if you were to put him with the right people and build the right story around him, after about a year, he'll be money.
I mean, did you see that one? You probably didn't, but there was a match he had with Hangman. Hangman threw him like backwards. He landed on his head.
I saw that. And he broke his neck.
Yeah, and he's lucky to be walking. Mm-hmm. So I think I agree with you with this the slow move. So, but I see him potentially, because like I watch him, I said, dude, this guy's gonna be money. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be money. Just give him an opportunity. So that's just the way I look at it. So
the one thing about the Hangman story that I didn't like was the fact that it did take 2 years.
Yeah,
I like long stories, but at the same time, there should have been a payoff to that a year ago.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think
he almost reminded me of Lex Luger in the 80s.
Yeah.
If you think about it for just a second,
you're right.
Okay. They built
totally
Lex
right.
Luger up to be superhuman, and then as soon as he gets to the dance,
it's bad timing.
It don't happen.
Yeah,
and then
it's bad timing on that one.
Yeah, then it takes 2 forevers to get him back there, and then by that time, the fans are just like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was actually really worried that they waited too long, especially after you bring Punk and Danielson in and Adam Cole. I was worried he was fixing to lose out and, get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. I think I agree with you completely there, but I think they wanted it right. They wanted the pass the torch over from Omega to him. It had been a good story. So to keep Omega like the champion, they had to do it that way. And it took a while for it to do it, but I'm glad they at least stuck with it. I'll just say that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it would have been me, I would have done it a year ago.
Yeah.
And then I would have had more return matches with Omega and Page. I'd have had at least one. I'd probably made it a 3-match program.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I love the fact that Punk's in. I love the fact that Bryan's in. But now that Bryan's the number one contender and everything, what are you going to do? Try and turn him heel against Page for the title?
Yeah, you've kind of noticed that the last 2 programs he's kind of did some heel stuff.
But that's the mentality that I don't understand. He is arguably one of your top 5 baby faces. There ain't really much of an argument to it. Everybody loves Bryan Danielson. Everybody knows him as Daniel Bryan from the WWE. Same thing with Punk. Everybody loves Punk. You're not going to turn either one of them heel. It don't matter if you give them a hand grenade and let them throw it out in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? I don't. The only way they're going to turn heel is
I think Tony Khan's doing this formula. Yeah.
But you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do. But
or am I thinking too old school?
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but I think Tony Khan's thinking. His way is thinking is that you can't put two baby faces together and it won't sell. But I disagree. But he has like an old like formula where if you get two baby faces together, one of them's got to be heel, and I don't agree with that, but that's what they're doing. But I think Daniel like relishes being a heel, but I think it's almost they're saying they respect Hangman and the Dark Order too much to make them a heel. So it's easier to do it with Daniel because he's one person rather than do like Hangman and the whole group because they just got back together. You don't want to get them separated. I don't know. That's just the way I think of it. So
to me, the biggest heel in the company is going to be Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not MJF. It's Cody. They don't boo MJF.
This is true.
Cody's trying to be a good guy, trying to be a baby face and getting booed out of the building.
He's fighting it so bad, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, if he would embrace it, I'm sorry, he's not his dad. He is a heel.
do a Roman Reigns, man, because Roman's like he's embraced it now. So
yeah, but Roman's is 5 years too late. I'm sorry, but it is. That boy should have stayed heel even after the Shield broke up.
Yeah. Earl and I on our show, we call him aggressive stepdad. That's what we call him. So, but I think right now SmackDown, that's probably the most interesting story. And I know I'm jumping right now, but SmackDown,
it is.
SmackDown, that's the most interesting story is aggressive stepdad. So that's the best thing that's what I want to watch. That's what I'm invested in to see what he's going to do. And
that's the most compelling story right now in the business.
Yeah.
And let's look at it the way it's not Roman.
Yeah.
It's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. You're right.
I watched that to hear what Paul Heyman's going to say next.
Yeah.
Roman's doing good. Don't get me wrong. But he's doing good because Heyman's got something to do with that story. Yeah.
And you're wondering whenever he turns on Roman, who's he going to do it with? Because he had a chance to do it with Brock. He didn't do it. Brock's going to be seasonal only. Yeah. And so, but who's he going to turn? Because eventually it's going to happen. He's going to turn on Roman, but you don't know with who and when. And so you're anticipating who he's going to do it with. That's what I'm looking for. I wonder who he's going to do it with, because to me, that's probably like one of the best stories on WWE. So
yeah, it is the best story. That's what going back with me to AEW, and then we'll jump to WWE. I really think Cody ought to be a heel. I think he'd be the biggest heel in the business. Honest to God, I think he'd be the biggest heel in the business. I really wish the Bucks would go away for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of the Bucks. Kenny is, off getting surgery and everything else because he's banged up real bad.
Yeah,
that whole thing needs to get pushed back. People need a break from it. I really want to see what Paige is going to be able to do with the belt now that he's got it. Everybody was all for him being the underdog and cheered him on to get to it, but it's one thing to get it. It's one thing to keep it. Let's see what he does. So I'm really interested to see what Tony does with a lot of these other fresh faces that just got released. I hate the fact that ROH is going down. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. That's sad.
Because let's face facts. Tony ain't going to take in everybody. Impact ain't going to be able to take in many more people because, love them or not, like them or not. I mean, they've got a budget just like everybody else does. They're not going to be able to take in but so many. one good thing about this with some of these bigger names that are getting released is you'll be able to look at your talent, see what you got, see who's performing, see who ain't, get rid of them, and maybe be able to bring in a bigger name.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I look for MLW and some of these other smaller ones. If they could find some money, they need to come up and take ROH's place.
Yeah, get a TV deal or something, because I think what you're going to end up seeing right now is that most of these people that got let go is probably probably going to happen is that they might sign like a 3-month contract with Impact or New Japan, and then they'll probably just rotate. They'll rotate and go to, like you said, go to MLW or Wrestling Gorilla or somebody, and they'll probably they'll be on Impact for a month or two, then rotate. And that's probably what's going to end up happening. If Impact was smart and the other promotions were smart, they would do that. They would just sign them for a couple months, let them rotate. They'll come back, but they have to pick and choose what storylines they're going to have to do. So
what is old is new again. What you just described was the old territory system.
Yeah.
You had 32 territories back in the day before cable. They showed up, worked a certain number of days, and moved on.
Yep. Because as growing up, I bled Von Erich blood. That's just me. That's all I did was Von Erich blood. And so I would, you would see Cactus Jack. You would see the Dingo Warrior before he was the Ultimate Warrior. And you would see all these guys. And so
Mean Mark.
Yeah, you'd see all these guys. I said, "Oh my God!" So to see them later on in life, I said, "Man, they were in North Texas for for the winter of 1988 and stuff like that." So it was just it was cool to see stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see that too, and to kind of see it going. Because I don't want this. I don't want this industry to go away. I just really don't, and it brings me a lot of joy and it brings me a lot of happiness. And so because I'm a huge Dallas Star fan, and the Dallas Stars are not doing well. So, wrestling never lets me down. so I can always turn to wrestling and just watch it and be happy and say, okay, I'm gonna watch Survivor Series tonight, and I'm gonna be in a good mood tomorrow. So,
well, since you're watching it, what match is on right now?
What's on right now is Seth Rollins. It's the Raw versus SmackDown 5-on-5 elimination. So they're introducing Seth Rollins right now. He's coming out right now. So
that's a character right there that just disappoints me. God, that boy's got so much potential.
He does. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I love him. I love what he does. I don't think he's been the same since he hurt his knee. But I'm not going to take that away from him because he's still a great talent. He can work with anybody. He's great on the mic. He does really good promos. So, I mean, you don't have to do, vertical stuff just to be a great wrestler. So he was a great wrestler and he hurt his knee and it kind of slowed him down a little bit. But to me, in my mind, he's still a great wrestler. So,
well, to me, the best thing he's done lately is get with Becky Lynch.
Yes. Oh my God.
Just being honest.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
the stuff he's been doing with Edge has been decent, but he's coming across as Edge light.
Yeah. I laugh on that one all the time, Edge light. So that's so classic. That's actually my favorite wrestler of all time is Edge. Edge is my favorite wrestler. I love him. I love what he's done. I don't care if he's heel or babyface. I'm still going to pull for him no matter what. So I know you didn't ask me that, but I just wanted to say
that's cool. I drove down. I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it to you now.
Yes.
I drove down to WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans only because Austin said that he was going to be there.
Yeah.
I drove to Miami for WrestleMania 28 because The Rock was coming back. And because of Triple H and The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell match. I loved that whole 4-year program with The Undertaker, and honest to God, I wish that would have been his last match.
Yeah.
The fact 30 just absolutely pissed me off. Whenever we got down there, and then Hogan comes out and called it the Silver Dome 3 times and got the crowd booing him. Now,
yeah, I do remember that.
I'm sitting there and I'm surrounded by little kids and Cena stuff. Okay. And dads were sitting around. They're there because the kid wanted to be there to see Cena. I get it. I was a kid and I was like that with Hogan. And then all of a sudden, the glass broke.
Yes.
The roof almost come off of that joint. Legit. My ears were ringing. I haven't heard a pop like that forever. I'm in my 30s. I'm going crazy. There's kids in front of me and Cena stuff that don't know what to do because their daddy is going crazy. Okay?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you see Austin walk out. You don't hear his music at all. You can't because of the roar. He comes down to the ring, climbs up on the post. All you see is 30-year-olds throwing middle fingers up in the air because that's what Austin's doing.
Yes.
He goes to each one. And then, then The Rock comes out. Decent pop, but it wasn't Austin pop. Just saying. Whenever that first segment was over, whenever Hogan, Austin, and Rock was in the ring at the same time, I could have went home happy right there.
Yes. I probably would have too. So
I was literally looking around and talking because you know how you do. You talk to folks at the wrestling match. That's like I can go home happy right now. And then the Undertaker lost.
Oh yeah, the Brock. Yeah, that was.
I had told everybody that even since 28, I said if he loses, I'm done.
Yeah,
I know, but
to be honest with you,
at the same time, business is business, and I get it now. But I was just like, if he loses, I'm done. Whenever he lost that night, I made it about 3 minutes into the Bellas tag team match that was after that.
Yeah.
The crowd was pitch silent. There was a few little bit of applause just for people who hated The Undertaker for whatever reason. But for the most part, you could have heard a pin drop.
That's a hard match to follow, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That one particular moment.
And then, about 2 or 3 minutes into the Bellas match, it was like everybody was starting to set in. Taker just lost.
Yeah. And
there was a groundswell in there. People were pissed. I was among them. I got up and left. I didn't even watch Daniel Bryan win the title in the main event.
Wow.
I didn't even finish the show. But I ended up talking myself into sticking around with wrestling between New Orleans and my home here in Dilworth. But I love wrestling. I really do. But just like I said earlier, I kind of feel like it's passing me by for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way because I think my nephew was a really big wrestling fan and he hates Brock Lesnar. So anything has to do with Brock Lesnar, he just gives up. And I tell him all the time. I said, look, I get it. You don't like him, but the dude's money, and people are gonna pay to see him win or lose. That's just the way it is. And until someone else has a bigger pop than Brock, he's not gonna come. He's gonna keep coming back, and that's just the way it is. And hopefully we can get there. And where he's not the part timer, like bless you.
Thank you.
Hopefully he's not like because I hate part timers. That's just how I am. But that's me. But I'm not.
I think they have their place.
Yeah.
They have their place because at one point in time they were full timers and, they pounded the pavement and did what they could do to get over and got over with the audience to the point where they are part timers now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can be. Just their name on the marquee will draw money and draw pay-per-view and everything else. And the younger generation needs to figure out how to get to that level. And I don't know how to get over in 2021.
I WWE, I don't know because there's been tons of wrestlers that were over, but it was never pushed. Rusev was one.
Agreed.
Rusev was one. CM Punk was one in 2011.
Before you get past Rusev, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did Rusev get over as a character or did Lana get him over?
I think she helped.
That one's tough.
Yeah, I think
That
she
one's
helped.
tough.
And I think I can't think of the guy's name, but when the guy started singing Rusev Day, he was really over then.
Yes.
So I can't think of the guy's name in English or something. I can't. He's on Impact right now. But yeah, what I love about Rusev or Miro now is that when he went over to AEW, he could have done Miro Day, but he chose not to. And he's doing a different shtick, and he's doing God's favorite champion, the Redeemer, and I love that.
I wished he would have came over as the monster. I really do. Whenever he came over in that other little deal, I was like, ugh.
Best man, the best man in the
way. Dude, no. You're supposed to be a monster. Be a monster. Don't take the pink shirt off. I don't need. It's like that was like seeing Batista in those skinny jeans. No.
But like to get over in WWE, I don't know how you do it because, like I said, Rusev was over and they didn't push him. Zack Ryder was over because he was the internet champion.
Ryder got himself over.
Yeah, he did.
And much like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, they got themselves over. Cena was the one that had the rocket ship strapped to his back. And in hindsight, if I would have had Cena on my roster, it'd have been my number one guy too, simply because of the fact he's a machine.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of times. I think CM Punk when CM Punk was babyface, his merch was actually outselling Cena's. And there was a point. Yeah, there was a point in time where they made him turn heel, so Cena's merch would be top again. And to me, stuff like that, I'm happy for Punk now, but back then I was angry because I think he deserved to be in the main event. And he was the top heel that year.
Yes.
And they gave it, they end up giving it to The Miz.
Yeah.
And I was pretty angry about that, but that was,
same.
So, but how do you get over in WWE? I don't know, man. It's like, there's like, I think one of the biggest potential people that could probably be a really good wrestler is Cesaro. He's probably not that good on the mic, but athletic wise and talent wise and like able to work with anybody, he's great.
They missed the boat on him.
Yeah.
I don't see him becoming anything bigger than what he is right now.
Yeah.
If this would have been 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, he in the ring, absolute money, but he's getting older.
Yeah.
And those injuries are starting to catch up to him. He's slower. He's missing a step now than what he was. I really wished I could have seen those matches with him and Walter.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm marking out over a guy, ladies and gentlemen. I really am. I love Walter as a character.
The guy puts handprints on people.
I love that. Reminds me of Japanese strong style. I love it. Those two matches that he did with Dragunov.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That one that he had with Ciampa. You ain't going to get that. To me, that was awesome. That should have been match of the year.
Yeah, it kind of foretold where NXT was going, and like they had to bring him over just to get some ratings, and I love him too. I wish they would just bring him over to the roster, but if they do, they're gonna probably end up burying him anyway. So
I don't think it's as much them as it is him. I just don't think he wants to move.
Yeah, you're probably right because England is his home, and but he's actually probably getting paid pretty good for not doing that many matches. So, I'll
be honest with you. I think he's riding out his contract. I don't foresee him being there much longer. I don't think they'll keep him. And then where will he go? Just go back to doing UK indies?
Probably. Yeah. So.
And that's a shame because he deserves to be on a bigger platform.
I was going to ask you a question.
I mean, if it was me with Walter, I would build him up for a solid year, and then him and Reigns would be the main event of WrestleMania.
That would be good. That'd be something that I would be invested in to watch. And man, like two guys who've never faced off with each other. Yeah, that'd be great.
On his way up, he would also go through Lesnar.
Oh Lord. But would Lesnar do it? That's the thing, but probably for the right money.
Lesnar's business. As long as people make him out to be a dick. He's not. He might be a antisocial person.
Yeah.
But if he likes you, and go back and look at the matches. If he likes you, he'll bounce all over the place for you.
Yeah, he does.
Look at what he did for what's his name?
Goldberg.
Well, Goldberg, yeah. They like each other.
Yeah.
The big guy, he was a part of the Wyatt family. You don't want these hands. I can't remember. Flip the car.
Strowman.
Yes. He bounced all over the place for Strowman. Sold his butt off for him. He'll do. That's what I'm saying. Go back. Look at what he did for Undertaker.
Yeah.
If he likes you, he'll sell for you. If it makes sense, he will sell for you. He's not. That's saying. I think he learned that from Taker. Taker used to sell for everybody, but he had a particular way he sold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's just Brock. Brock is so big and so he's a freak. If you were to clone the perfect wrestler, you would clone Brock Lesnar just simply based off of athletic prowess. Think about it. He is a freak.
People love to hate him. People love to, I get it. I like him. To be honest with you, I've always been a Brock Lesnar fan.
Always been a fan of him.
Yeah.
Followed him to the UFC too. He still, if my memory serves me correctly, I think he still has some of the records for that. If Conor hadn't already took them all, he was the first one to set a bunch of them on his first one or two matches, and that's what they was expecting with Punk, but it didn't work that way.
Did you happen to catch this last pay-per-view from AEW where the UFC guys were on it? The Junior Dos Santos and
Orlovsky, Dos Santos and all them.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about the highlights.
Yeah. They didn't do great, but they didn't do bad. I would just say that. They played their role, and I don't know how much Tony Khan's gonna want to do something like that, but I get it, but I'm not a big fan of it.
To me, Lambert wasn't nothing but a play off of Jim Cornette.
Yeah. He is. Somebody was posting on Twitter like all his like TNA stuff when he was on TNA doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I love Cornette. I do.
Yeah.
I do love him. I listen to his show every week.
He used to be local here in Dallas. He used to run the Super D's for a long time. So that was I hated him back in the day, but I think he was doing his job. Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was one thing I like about Cornette. If he's old school, he is what he is, but he crucifies you whenever he thinks you screwed up, but he praises you when he thinks you did good.
Yeah.
So, and I think the world, especially the wrestling world, needs more of people like Jim Cornette.
Yeah, I don't think much people want to touch him though. I don't know why. Like they won't hire him as a writer anymore. Nobody does.
Well, he's not looking for a job. He flat out says it on the show.
Oh, does he? Okay.
I'm not looking for a job.
Yeah.
Tony actually tried to bring him in.
Yeah.
He talks about that, how he had to sign a non-disclosure with Tony. So, and Tony actually gave him a little bit of praise. He said he's learned more from Jim Cornette than he has anybody else.
Yeah, that sounds like Tony though. Tony's going to praise everybody that was in the business and show them like respect and stuff.
Yeah.
But I like Tony Khan. I don't know when that dude sleeps though, man. Doesn't seem like he ever sleeps. I go, man, he must be a zombie or something.
Vince is the same way.
Yeah.
Vince is almost in 80?
Yep.
He might get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. He always says sleep is their enemy.
Yeah.
Most of your real successful people like that don't sleep much.
I guess I need to stop sleeping.
I don't know if it may. I don't really operate that well off of just
Yeah.
2 hours sleep anymore. I'm getting too old for that crap.
I think right now I am so jacked up and so happy on the progress that I've made. Like because I don't know, because I think whenever I talked to you, I think I was on a walker. I think
You
whenever
were.
I talked,
I
I was
know
on a walker.
you had just come off the walker and got onto a cane. My
Okay.
memory
So,
serves me correctly.
so in August, I got let go by a skilled nursing facility and I was still in a wheelchair. September, I started on a walker. October, I was in a cane. In November, I just threw the cane away and I just started walking. So every phase that I was going to, I had a really hard time sleeping because I was so jacked. I was so happy and I didn't know what to do. Okay. I was thinking to myself, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? I got to do something tomorrow. I got to go to a park. I got to go down the street. I got to walk, to the next door neighbor's house or something. So I was just so jacked and I couldn't sleep. But I find myself now sleeping pretty well now. But the progress I was making, I'm just so excited. It's like, this is like, I was explaining to somebody, this is like my Super Bowl. This is like my WrestleMania. This is like my World Series all wrapped into one. And so the progress I'm making, I'm telling you, I'm sure I said this before in the last show, but I have really busted my ass to get where I'm at right now. I mean, I have never, ever, and I mean this with the top of my, heart, Terry, I've never worked this hard to get where I'm at right now. So, if anybody listens to this podcast and can, they had Guillain Barre and it's, and they feel like they're in the dark spot, you can get out of it, man. You can get out of it and you can come through. And, cause like Guillain Barre not only takes away your ability to walk and use muscles, but it takes away, your spiritual and your mental as well. I mean, it's just one of those things that, and I'm sorry to be going on a soapbox right now, but it's just one of those things that, I've worked really hard and I mean, I want to be a spokesman if I can. I'll do testimonies or whatever, man. Cause like I want to share with people. I said, you can do it. You can do the work and you can come out successful and you can, cause I'm living proof of it, and I want to get back to doing the podcast. I want to travel. I want to do, I want to go to Bigfoot conferences. I want to go to paranormal conferences. I want to go to comic book convention conferences and just talk and just like get people to talk about, whatever they want to talk about, and cause I'm doing Bigfoot, I'm doing paranormal, but I want to move. Cause I really like your format. I love the fact that you can just talk about anything. And, we end up doing that on the show, but people tune in because they want to hear Bigfoot stories and paranormal stories,
Right.
But we end up talking about other stuff too. We talk about, the Mandalorian, and we talk about Star Wars. We talk about comics, talk about, Spidey No Way Home, stuff like that. We're goofy. We just talk about different stuff. So
I like it.
So
that's what I've told different people and everything about the way I was raised. My grandpa made sure to tell me, and he beat this into my head, know a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
I've got so many different interests. My interest isn't just one single thing.
Right.
I like a lot of different things. So that's why I do it the way I do it.
I love it. I love the porch.
Well, the porch loves you too, my friend. Thank you very much for coming back. And you are welcome anytime you want to come back.
I gotta get going. I gotta get you on my show now. So
bring it, brother.
Okay. So I think I'm going to probably start back up like the start of the year, and I'm going to get a lineup going, and I'm going to pencil you in.
Okay.
So just so you know.
That'll work. If you would, please plug your show, plug your social, and anything you got coming up.
Anybody that wants to reach out to me, if you have like Bigfoot stories or paranormal stories, any kind of strange stories, you can always reach out to me, either Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. You can find me on Bigfoot Club, the #1. Or if you want to email me directly, you can do Bigfoot Club, the #1 @gmail.com. We currently just started doing our website, BigfootClubPodcast.com. So please go on, check it out. Check out our latest episodes. I'm going to have merch on it pretty soon. I got to get you some merch too. So
I got to get you one too. There again, I've also got to go and talk to my guy about getting me some merch.
Okay. Well, we need to talk about that a little bit more, but we'll off show. That. But yeah, anybody that wants to reach out to me, they want to listen to the podcast. I mean, we're on every platform. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Deezer, iHeart, Pandora. We're on everything. We're on Alexa. We're on everything. So, so check us out. Critique me. I'm okay with critique. I want to get better. So people don't like, subjects that we're doing, give us some ideas or something.
Robert, thank you for coming on the porch, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Big thanks to Robert Dominguez from Bigfoot Club for coming on to the show. Find Bigfoot Club anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Follow them on social media by typing in Bigfoot Club 1 into the search bar. Give them a follow and tell them that you heard about him on Porch Matters. If you are new to the show and like what you hear, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button and download the episodes in our archives. If this show has been a positive addition to your life, please rate the show and leave a review. Won't take you but a minute, and it really would help the show. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters Podcast into the search bar. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episode and share it with at least one person this week. There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of a podcast before. I really would appreciate it. And I'll see you next time, right here on Porch Matters.